the part of the whole Congress. So I would maybe mention, quote, the piece of speech of Jarosław Kaczyński, leader of Law and Justice, 3 days ago. He said that if we look at the drafts of these changes proposed by new treaties, it means that Poland is completely losing its sovereignty and in all important matters: border defense, defense policy, foreign policy, tax policy. And as he underlined, if these changes are introduced, it means that we are no longer independent state, but we are a territory inhabited by Poles, but ruled mainly from outside. The end of the quote, and I think it regards not only Poland, and it should be the call for action. Thank you very much for this discussion, for your patience. Thank you, my guests.
Thank you all speakers and moderator of the panel. Going now to panel number 4, United we stand, divided we fall. Prospects for overturning the establishment in EU institutions.
Antonio Gramsci once believed that by occupying position of power within cultural institutions, Marxists could shape public consciousness and create the necessary conditions for a socialist transformation of the society. The long march through the institution has been going on for several decades already. Hence, time is definitely not in favor of conservatives.
There is an acute need for a conservative counter-revolution, in Edmund Burke's words, in order to save not only the European project, but European civilization overall. The last panel of the Mega Conference will discuss how we can bring normality back in the EU institutions.
We invite to moderate this panel another Romanian politician, author and PhD in theology from King's College London, Mr. Mihail Neamțu. Welcome.
Well, good afternoon and thank you everybody. This is a marathon. We admire you for your patience. I should like to ask actually all the members of the panel to come forward. Nicolas Borilov, I hope she's here. Tony Gilland, Miguel Nunes Silva, please have a seat first, and then we will introduce you one by one. Miguel Angel Quintana Paz, Mark Ivanio, and Alvaro Peñas Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, one round of applause for these wonderful speakers. Thank you. Welcome to Bucharest. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very prestigious number of speakers this afternoon. I should like to begin with Miguel Angel Quintana Paz, Academic Director of the Higher Institute of Sociology, Economy and Politics in Madrid. He is a PhD in philosophy from the University of Salamanca, with that wonderful tradition in natural law. With extraordinary award and degree in philosophy and education. He has been a Lonergan postdoctoral fellow at Boston College. He worked under the direction of the philosopher from Italy, Gianni Vattimo, Pensiero Debole. He has published, among other, the following books: Sapere Aude, Rules, an Introduction to the Hermeneutics with the help of Wittgenstein and Sherlock Holmes, and Normativity, Interpretation and Praxis. He's a regular contributor to the newspaper The Objective and to the channels El Toro TV and V1 Media. Ladies and gentlemen, Miguel Angel Quintana Paz. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. It was planned that I was going to be the second last to talk, and my first introduction was going to be that was the good news of my speech, that we were near the end. But I'm also going to give you some bad news. I'm going to talk a little bit about theology. Why? Why in a panel like this one, I'm going to introduce this theme that it's been around for some time, but nobody has deepened it, I think. in one very interesting direction that I'm going to try. Carl Schmitt thought that all political concepts or all theoretical concepts about politics were only secularized theological concepts. And that's the idea that I want to connect to the EU institutions and the EU ideology of the elite, of the European Union's elites. I think that they already have an ideology, and this ideology is not coming from another part of the world. It's not coming from Islam, from China, from India, from Africa. It's not coming from out of the blue. It's not coming from Mars or the moon. It's coming from our very roots. It's coming from our Judeo-Christian legacy. But this Judeo-Christian legacy has been, as I said before, in some way secularized, as Schmitt said. I'm going to say that maybe better than secularized, it's been in some way twisted. It's been manipulated. A good word, a good definition for this kind of truths that get distorted in some way is the word heresy. I'm going to consider the ideology of our elites a kind of heresy of Christianity. Heresy, according to another author, Gilbert Keith Chesterton, is a fragment of the truth that is exaggerated at the expense of the rest of the truth. So, what is this part of the truth that has been exaggerated? This part of a more general truth that is truth itself, that we share, that Christianity shares, but that has been isolated and then gets distorted. I think that it's the notion of the victim. Christianity bets on the care for the weak, for the hungry, for the thirsty, for the vulnerable, for the victim, in one word. And this idea is kept by this heresy, but it's kept isolated from everything around. And so it gets a very strange and dangerous direction. When you take the victim, but you don't think about God, and you look at all the victims, but you don't think and you don't consider the idea of God, then in some way you make the victim or the victims or the groups of victims new gods, your new God, your new absolute power that you have to surrender to. And everybody is interested in getting this position, the position of God. And then we meet the phenomenon of victimization. Everybody wants to be a victim, means today everybody wants to be a God, something that everybody else has to worship, has to surrender to. This disconnection from the rest of the Christian legacy also makes the victim, the treatment of the victim, very different from the treatment of the victim that was before, that was with the Christianity legacy. In the new situation, the goal is not reconciliation or forgiveness as in Christianity, but the new goal is only quite the opposite. It's to intensify the conflict, to intensify the confrontation. The confrontation between all the victims groups and the supposed oppressors groups, but also the confrontation and the conflict between different victims groups. At the end, we have confrontation of everybody against everybody. Bellum omnium contra omnes, we would say, no? The man is again a wolf to the man. Homo homini lupus. So, in this distortion of Christianity, we get to the worst possible scenario, the scenario of conflict, the scenario of detachment, and what in Christianity meant a new way of making connections, of making links between people, the care for the victim, the care for everybody that has some needs, transforms itself in the opposite thing. So, in this general frame, what would be the solution? Well, the solution is has been already advanced many times here. I'm not going to say anything original, anything new, but the solution now is here is when we can encounter once again the importance of Christianity, the importance of the general framework that Christianity gives us to treat with victims. Of course, many people can have a faith in Christianity and share this from the deep of their souls, of their spirits, but also many people, I find every day many people that maybe without faith or in an initial state of faith have also this appreciation, this love for the legacy that was able to treat victims in a peculiar way, with care, with giving all the, trying to meet all the necessities that they have and sharing their suffering, but without converting our societies in this homo homini lupus that we have nowadays. The solution also to use again the work of the same author that I mentioned before, Chesterton, would be then against heresy, it's obvious, orthodoxy. Thank you very much.